So today we will be explaining what is cystic fibrosis gene to a drug by Jose Tomas Uribe, Veronica Martes, and Sergio Manrique. So to begin with, we will be explaining stem cells. Stem cells are a special human cells that are able to develop into diverse cell types in the right conditions and the correct environment. These type of cells represent an exciting area in medicine as their potential to regenerate and repair damaged tissue. People find different advantages from stem cell therapies, which includes spinal cord injuries, Parkinson's disease, and Alzheimer's disease, between many others.
Cystic fibrosis is a genetic disease that is caused by a non-function of the transmembrane conducting regulator gene of cystic fibrosis, or CFTR. However, this is only the main cause, because there are over 1,800 other mutations that can cause this disease. Cystic fibrosis appears in childhood and has severe respiratory and digestive symptoms. It leads to the production of a thick mucus, keeping bronchi and digestive tract to work well by clogging the respiratory tract and the digestive tract, among others, causing serious damage. Symptoms are cough, asthma, rhinosinusitis, constipation, full pseudus, weight loss, and malnutrition.
As we already know, stem cells can cure different diseases, including cystic fibrosis. So this treatment works by dividing and producing many other cell types. Diverse scientists and doctors study how adult stem cells could be used to treat this disease. This disease is a clear potential model disease for stem cell therapy, as the persistent lung inflammation leads to damage and remodeling, which could promote engraftment of stem cells. So, how does this work? There are many different types of cells in the lung. Each one performs a different and a specific job. Most of these cells do not divide. However, there are some tiny ones that do. Of the cells in the airway that can divide, there is a special population called airway stem cells. These cells can produce other types of cells in the lung that can replace these cells that are damaged or that died. Scientists consider that we can cure this disease by using gene editing or gene therapy tools in stem cells.
The CFTR gene malfunction was discovered back in 1989 by scientist Francis Collins and his team. They discovered that CF patients were missing 3 letters from the previously mentioned CFTR gene from each copy on chromosome 7. Since the mutation is recessive, only individuals who inherit a copy from both parents get the disease.
And here it's when it comes Kaileko. This is one of the many drugs that is used in order to treat this disease. As my partner previously explained, this Kaileko, the main malfunction in the cystic fibrosis disease is the missing of 3 letters, and it was discovered by the last scientist that my friends explained. In this case, Kaileko works by replacing this, and by, as we can see in the next quote, in patients with a mutation and their genes that is responsive to Kaileko, this medicine works to help the gates stay open longer and allowing more chloride ions to move into and out the cells. So Kaileko works this way and also other drugs. In this case, Kaileko, as we can see, works in order to allow the production of proteins in several genes that in the case of the 3 letters missing, these genes will not if they miss, they will not produce more proteins. And what does Kaileko is to allow this production of proteins and replace these genes throughout the use and the implementation of the stem cells, as my partner also explained. Following, we may have also many advantages that these drugs may bring to the patients. Like in this case, these drugs generally are used as these drugs that are used to treat genetic disorders like cystic fibrosis, have a pretty much more precise aim compared to other drugs, as they concentrate in specific genes and specific functions, and other drugs are just work generally. Cystic fibrosis, most common mutation, as I explained before, is the missing of 3 letters in the DNA of the 7th chromosome. A normal drug will not be that precise and act generally, and this may affect the whole DNA or a great section of it. Also by, secondary effects and all things like that. Also, a normal drug will not cure the disease by attacking the most common mutation, but it will just help the patient with the pain and the symptoms of the cystic fibrosis. In the case of chiral echo, it doesn't help like the symptoms, but it stops the disease. It may cause more symptoms, yes, but the good thing of this drug is that it stopped and it cuts the disease from the roots. Also, we may have also different disadvantages that may affect the patient. As an example, chiral echo may also have several side effects on the patient, like headaches, upper respiratory tract infection, including sore throat, nasal or sinus congestion, runny nose, stomach or abdominal pain, diarrhea or nausea. In order to take chiral echo, you should take into account several specifications and rules that the patient must follow and be aware of in order to make chiral echo work successfully, and the patient don't pass through too much pain while the drug is in his systems. Also, chiral echo do not assure to cure cystic fibrosis for all patients. This is because when the patient grow up, the mutations increases, and as the mutations increases, it is more difficult for the drug to cure chiral echo. So it is not 100% effective on those patients that are too old, with the disease. Also, the majority of the old patients that consume chiral echo do not demonstrate good results, and as they have a lot of mutations, as I explained later. What are the ethical considerations of the use of biotechnology, or in this case, the use of drugs to treat genetically disordered disease on the patients? First, we need to take into account the costs, and when we talk about the costs, we talk about the economical status of the patients. In this case, these drugs or the use of biotechnology, no matter how expensive it is, should be considered the cost or the economical status for those patients who can't afford one medicine of that. We can understand these medicines may in some cases be too expensive, but if the patient needs it or urgent needs it in order to save his life or to do not affect his emotional and physical status, the cost should not be taken into account. When we talk about the ages is another important factor in the ethical considerations, as the ages also depends. If you are younger, the medicine should work better in this case, because we talk about cystic fibrosis, there are less mutations. So it is better to take them younger. And also the difference of ages may vary the cost, because it is not the same for a person. You can't make a person or an old man pay for something that may not have the expected results, while the ages pretty much change the game in this case, as it is proof that it works better for younger persons with cystic fibrosis. In this case, we can talk about chiral echo drug, or than it works worst for those patients that are more older. Also, we should take into account the social and emotional status of the patients. If the patient do not want to take the drug or to use biotechnology in order to cure his disease, we should take into account their opinion. We should not risk, even if it means to risk their own life, is that people are free to choose which destination they want for the life. Maybe they don't want to use biotechnology because they have had bad experiences. I don't know, they have had also bad circumstances. So the use of biotechnology or drugs in this case must be according to the choices and also to the social and emotional state of the patients. Generally, my final verdict is that the use of biotechnology or drugs must be optional, but must not be obligatory, because this might have many circumstances on the patients, and if it is obligatory, it means that we will not take, or the medics or the hospitals will not take into account many social, emotional, or even the cost or the ages of the patients. They can just risk more their life as they can save it more. So for the world of the patient, it is better to take into account all these ethical considerations before taking the medicine or applying biotechnology. These are the upper references. We take them from different web pages and references that were given to us in the task. Thank you very much.